I joined, and then it just went all to hell.
Ah!
The system just can't handle you.
That's right. It's what always happens. I show up and everything blows up. Oh, Lordy.
Welp. What can you do? Oh, my God. So what else has been going on this week?
This past week?
Yeah. You've been on the cable car.
Oh, my God. I took 11 cable car rides.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. In fact, I took so many that it broke my Clipper card. You're supposed to have unlimited rides, and by the end, they kept trying to click it. They're like, oh, it's not working. NMP. I have unlimited rides. You can't stop me. It was a wild ride. It was really fun, actually.
Well, Clipper has so many bugs. I mean, this is one of the problems that I think they've been trying to deal with. I know that I tried canceling my Clipper card. It wouldn't let me. And then I decided to keep my Clipper card. And then one day it disappeared from my phone for about half an hour and then came back. So, it's like.
It's terrible. I mean, here we are. We're supposed to be the tech center of the universe, and our systems are so antiquated. It's just pathetic. One thing should be so easy is transit. You should be able to go click, boom, you're on, and it's not. It's incredibly stupid. Even having to buy a Clipper card, of course you can use your phone, but to buy a Clipper card in order to even load it up, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Well, I remember back when it first started, you basically had to go to the machine and buy the card and then load it, and that did give you the option to have a cash card that quote unquote isn't traceable.
Right.
Which only certain people care about, but yeah, I mean, in general, you want to try and use the convenience of your phone that offers you both the NPC and the Bluetooth, and has some relative security. Certainly, the iPhone's very secure. It's got a secure space.
Have you ever seen those tokens? They're tiny. They're probably the size just shy of a dime.
You mean the old Muni tokens?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember those.
But they still work. They're still good for one ride, and I think they're the equivalent of 35 cents, maybe. I'm not even sure. Very, very small. I got on the bus a couple of years ago, and this woman had a big bag of them. Marvelous.
So we should find some seniors to raid and say, give us all your tokens.
Well, that's the subtext of why I brought it up, Mike.
Yeah, but the MTA sells. Don't they sell tokens as jewelry now? They have.
Oh God, just what I want.
They have bus token cufflinks and stuff like that.
Oh, lovely.
Their museum.
I will say that I, in defense of Clipper, I've never had a problem using it on my Apple Watch. And it even, it alerts me like, okay, you've got like, one ride left, or, you're down to $2.75. You need to add some more money.
Actually, you know what? That is what caused all my problems, is that I was using it on my Apple Watch. It worked fine there.
Yeah, it works great.
But, I have to be cool. I have to wear one of those watches with hands.
Oh, well, so you can also use it.
Back on my phone, and that's where all the problems started.
That's the other problem. That is one problem I did have with it, is that it will not let you have it on both your phone and your watch. You have to make a choice. That's the problem. Yeah, that's a problem. So I ended up having like 75 cents on my phone, and then when I put it on now I reloaded on my Apple Watch, but I think I still have like 75 cents on my phone. It's weird. So, how about that Shabuzi concert?
Oh my God.
I've just got to say out loud right here how ridiculous Daniel Lurie looked standing up there. And when he said, this is what's going to change people's perception of San Francisco, this is how we're going to come back. It's all about the arts and entertainment. And he was just in his glory. And that's what he did when he was at Tipping Point. He was the concert dude. And that's where he's the most, that's where he's the happiest, is being up there with the celebrities. And, but when he gave that little, and he got booed actually, because he said, this is, you know, basically his spiel. We're back, baby. You know, let's go San Francisco. Oh boy, you know, here's Shabuzi.
Did he get booed?
He got a little bit of booed. Yeah, there was some boos interspersed in the crowd. Because he said, you know, this is going to be how we come back. The arts, the music, the entertainment. And everybody's like, not as long as we're stepping over people that are got needles sticking out of their necks. Probably not. You know, not when there's like 5 shootings in 2 days and a guy is like stabbed to death walking with his child. Like, that's probably not the image. You know, that's probably a bigger image for people right now than having Shabuzi perform, you know. Exactly. Well, I like Shabuzi, but...
I mean, I don't... Okay, this is where we're going to disagree. I see nothing wrong with promoting concerts and having that, whatever, you know, exciting vibe shift, is, you know, whatever.
I don't see a problem with that, but I see a problem with saying that it's the way that we're coming back is by entertainment, the arts, music. That's wrong. I mean, that's just flat out wrong. I mean... You know, that's not, and you know, first of all, those concerts bring people mostly not from the city who come for, you know, the concert and leave, especially the ones in Golden Gate Park. I think they said it was about, I think the Dead and Company was like roughly 70% people not from the city. So I don't, you know, so, and, you know, Dreamforce, all that stuff brings people from and all over, and they clean up for that event, and then it goes right back to where it was. And, you know, like Mayor Breed had her horrible thing, which was that she was bragging about the, you know, entertainment and the sports and everything being great.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Pearsall was shot in Union Square, the 49er. So, you know, he just needs to be careful because, you know, when you're talking, you know, with your arm around Shabuzi about how Shabuzi is going to be what changes the image of the city and look at all this great entertainment, but you've had 5 shootings in 2 days. That's a hard sell for me.
So, you know, I look at it as I love analogies. I look at it as a meal. You have, this is the appetizer, is the entertainment, the music, the festivals, all of that. That's the teasers. But the meal, the main meal, the entree is terrible. Right. Yeah. So you've got the appetizer, which is delicious. It's great. All that stuff is lovely. But the main meal is what we see on our streets.
Well, I'll tell you, Shabuzi, I have no idea what Shabuzi is. I was going to ask about it.
But he's actually great.
I did want to introduce our guest, Soma, otherwise known as Adam Mesnick of the Deli Board, a wonderful sandwich place down south of Market. I picked up
thank you, by the way.
Hey, no problem. I wanted to. He's a former mortgage banker.
That's correct.
According to one write-up I see here, decided to pursue his passage for sandwiches in 2011. Upon opening, a review and eater said of at least one of his sandwiches that it elicits almost weeping gratitude from his clientele.
Do not believe everything you read, because actually I started Deli Board in 2009. It was June of 2009, and I grew up cooking. I had the passion, the bug, where I kind of trailed off after college. I had student loans, the regular. I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was staging at a restaurant in Cleveland, a restaurant that still exists called Giovanni's, and training in the kitchen and working tables and learning about service and food. And one of my friends called me and said, "Hey, we got a great opportunity. You want to come pound the phones on a Thursday night?" And I became a telemarketer, and I was very good at people, and I was very good at talking. I have a creative background. I have a degree in English creative writing. And I didn't have any aspirations to really be in mathematics. I leaned towards Matt Haney's version of anti-algebra. I find myself, I found myself successful, and I was balancing food and mortgage. And then I had a tremendous opportunity in San Francisco in 2001. I moved out here with a company called Novastar Mortgage, and I had a girlfriend, lived in Noe Valley. This was October of 01, so almost 24 years ago. And I was what I did was I helped create net branches. So my job in mortgage was a lot different than just selling mortgages to customers. I was actually making mortgage brokers a more legitimate practice, being able to pull credit, draw documents. And I won't bore anybody with the dreadful details of mortgages. But when that crashed, I was laid off in 2006 or 2007, and I sold my house short on Valencia. I owned a condo at Valencia and 14th Street. Mm-hmm. So unlike the homeless narrative of San Francisco, I was actually homeless. I was able to rent and pick up the pieces and move to south of Market after I sold my house short in 2009, and I launched Deli Board at the same time. And now now it's 2025, and I no longer live in the area, but I still operate my business down here.
Excellent.
A brief history.
But and obviously you're better known to some people for your, not only for your presence on X, but in terms of civic advocacy. Are you still on the Soma West CBD board?
I am. I am still a member of the CBD. I've been a part of that group since its launch, its inception in 2020. Mm-hmm. But I participated in the driving and creation of the community benefit district in West Soma.
Oh, neat.
So I've been participating in that group and helping that group launch for many years now. So about a decade, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things I spotted right away. And guess who I ran into? Well, we didn't talk, but I sort of covered him a couple of weeks ago. Ended up doing a little. I ended up going to the rally that was organized by Drug-Free Sidewalks and Supervisor Dorsey, and Alex Ludlam. Alex Ludlam was there.
Alex Ludlam. Alex is the Fearless executive director at this point, and he comes to us from Commissioner Doom fame.
Yes.
If you remember Commissioner Doom.
I unfortunately was made to be instrumental in outing him.
I mean, look, it was a blip in the road. I think that he, again, I think the intention, no different than the intention that I've had. I think people are literally fed up and trying anything and everything to get attention or to potentially share their thoughts. And I think a lot of it, I mean, for me, I've been roughed up for many years and smeared and blackballed and the whole deal. And if you read me on X, I constantly talk about it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that I really have been a team player, right? So in 2015 or 16, when I first had my issues, I met with Jeff Kaczynski. I met with him a handful of times. He passed me off to Ed Lee. I met with him a handful of times. Rest in peace. He handed me off to Sandra Zuniga, which was essentially which Sandra at the time was dating Muhammad.
Yep.
And Sandra, I guess I could say here Sandra was dating him, but I got the most incredible messages from her thanking me for my for my vocal behavior, but at the same time she was behind closed doors with Muhammad Nuru. So I think it was a keep your enemies very close.
Keep your enemies close.
And, guess they should have done that with me, huh?
Well, I think it depends if they have the opportunity to do it. Now, if they have an opportunity to dig into you and appeal to your senses, they want to try to turn you around, right? So I get Zuniga, which was basically Zuniga and Nuru, and at the same time, I got Sandra Garcia. I mean, imagine all these people. I mean, Sandra's in jail, Nuru's in jail, and the other one committed fraud for the tune of $1.5 million. Now, one thing that I will say is how in the world, and this is a question for the city if they're listening or anybody, how in the world have these groups, these agencies, and I'm not talking about just the NGOs, but how is the Department of Public Works not audited from top to bottom after Nuru goes to jail? What private business would actually not audit every department and every human being in that agency? I mean, you got to believe that the neglect on the streets is a direct result of paying no attention to management, to leadership, to actually cleaning. I mean, you want to talk about boots on the ground? If these morons say boots on the ground, I say nope. My boots have been on the ground. I have a decade of documenting my boots on the ground. I'm like an Army war veteran in recovery at this point. These people can no longer gaslight me. They can no longer lie to me. And if they choose to, they will simply be exposed not only by me, but there is now an army of people who don't buy their bullshit anymore. Now, in terms of my experience then continues with the city, teaming up with the city, teaming up with London Breed, speaking at events, speaking at all sorts of events. And then I spoke at one of Michael Schellenberger's events. And then I was blackballed. So the association game for this group, because Michael Schellenberger's a little bit fringe or a little bit kooky. Yeah, I mean, the guy's from Berkeley. He's a hippie. He's a hippie dippy. Let it be, He's got an opinion. But I remember when I spoke at his event, which was a handful of years ago, and Matt Haney was there explaining to hold him accountable. Now, I want to understand.
Adam, who else was there?
Erica Sandberg, the usual suspects.
That's right.
Gina.
Right.
There was, the crew of people that have been solid and kind of fighting this other space has been pretty consistent through it. But, again, it was one of the number of anti-fentanyl events that I've participated in. But, I'm one of those guys now that's going to say, okay, enough with your rhetoric. Let's see some real change.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say that, as the person that broke the corruption stories for the DPW and the PUC, I have to say that the media has to take blame for this as well. I remember when I, I got the anonymous letter from somebody at DPW saying that, Zuniga and Nuru were dating. And I wrote about that, and also the garbage man of London Breed, who I met with and told me that he used to see Nuru coming out of her house, not 20 years ago, more like 5 years ago at the time. And I said they had dated. And then I remember the response when that came out to Mission Local was like, everybody in the media already knew that. Okay, that's fine, but the public didn't know it. So how is the media helping by, not telling that story? And people said to me, well, why is it important who he dates? Are you kidding me? I mean, London created, she created the pit stop, the department for Zuniga when she didn't get a management position.
If I'm canceled, if I'm canceled because I spoke at a Michael Schellenberger event,
it's ridiculous.
And I was in his book, how in the world? I mean, these people are like in bed with one another, literally.
Yes.
And there's, there was a past there. And yes, the media, I don't know. I find, I would imagine, I know people in journalism, I know photographers that work all over the country, and they're all worried they're going to lose their jobs. And, the first question that I ask is the company that you're working for balanced at all?
Right.
No. I mean, if there's no balance, you become, if the narrative has been just bullshit, right? I mean, look, I've said it online, and who knows? I mean, does Jenny Exotic own the media? I mean, the lady comes from, she's a billionaire.
Yeah.
She's a billionaire. Does she have that type of influence where, K-Ron for all these years and all those news stations are like, we have to include Jenny.
Yeah, she's on every interview. And then we go to Jenny. She's as ubiquitous as the fountain in Walnut Creek on a super hot day on the news.
I mean, at some point, right? I mean, I debated her about, I don't even know if it was last year or I think it was 2 years ago now. I debated her, and I got to tell you what, it was very obvious that she has some sort of edge on the community that we never, that I don't experience. But, being on, I guess, they had her on the San Francisco government website, and she's a forever partner, right? And I don't know if that type of relationship has been beneficial for anybody but Jenny and her team. And I don't think that Jenny will ever be held accountable for all of the tent passing out, the suing the city. I mean, these people are it's a disruption. It's a disruption. And I think that, moreover, the disruption piece is that in the event that you speak up, you are smeared. You can see these people speak up and pop in and pop out. There was somebody in the Mission called Naz Karan, I believe her name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure where she is now, but, she came out and she was swinging, and she literally was so fired up because she had figured out what a grift Hillary Ronan's neighborhood is, and now Jackie Fielder's neighborhood. Jackie Fielder's neighborhood is disgusting. It's absolutely pathetic. I mean, talk about protecting marginalized people. All my staff live over there. All they talk about is how dirty the Mission is. You can't even walk down the street. These people are absolutely out of their minds. I think at some point we have to review what the job of the supervisor actually is.
Well,
these supervisors
that it's much more important for a supervisor to force her colleagues to reaffirm their opposition to the death penalty.
But Adam, you bring up
doing, on Tuesday.
Oh my God.
It's not. Yeah. It's. I mean, again, it's absolutely.
What? Why? What is that? What? Why?
Meaningless to the grand scheme of things, and having nothing to do with San Francisco.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
What we need to remember is what a supervisor is. I wrote about it recently. A supervisor is not a manager. They're not a city manager. They don't go around looking for potholes to fix, looking for businesses to help, looking for the community to assist. None of that. Their job is...
They should.
Exactly. But their job, technically, according to Matt Haney, who was there at that event with you, he said very specifically and very clearly to the ladies who reached out to him for help, what do you want me to do? I'm just a legislator.
Right.
I will never forget that. I will never forget that. That was when he was the supervisor of District 6. And let's remember, they don't technically, on paper, have to help the community. Their job is to set laws and to create legislation and to promote their party. That's what they do.
Right.
So,
well, and then he gets promoted, and now he's got the worst voting patterns out of anybody.
I do respect his stance for animals. That's the one place where I will say he's strong, and as is Scott Wiener, actually. So,
I absolutely respect that. That doesn't mean that I don't disagree with everything else.
100%. Yeah, he and I talk about it. I mean, we work on stuff for animals. I, bring attention to the plight of animals in the streets in the city. He spent 2 hours with me at Animal Care and Control, talking about mandatory spay and neuter laws, which he's working on, backyard breeding bans, and, with his staff. And they were very sincere. His staff was lovely. They were holding puppies and true. It was very true. They were very truthful in everything that they did, and they had to go hand out like thousands of toys the next day at Chase Center. So they spent way more time than they really needed to. One of the funnier moments was when someone came up and introduced themselves, one of the volunteers, and said how much she appreciated him being there. And then he said, "Oh, where do you live and who's your supervisor?" And she goes, "Joel and Gardio," and she just makes his face, and he goes, "Oh wow, he really stepped in it, didn't he?"
Yeah, it's wild. That guy, he led the Chesa Boudin recall, and now he's being recalled. It's wild. This place is bananas. It's just bananas here.
He didn't actually lead the recall. What's funny about it is that initially he said he did not. He's on video saying, I don't believe in recalls. And then he started getting a lot of heat for that. And he said, and then he started to say, well, people should be recalled if they're not doing what they were elected to do. But in the beginning, he's on video saying doesn't believe in recalls in general.
Well, now they're all, I think it's obviously a huge expense to taxpayers. So I guess what probably is lacking there is voter education, or who's voting for these people. And you have to kind of approach that. And again, it's a district supervisor. How many votes did Joel actually get?
I think he got, the universe of voters that's probably going to come out is around 25,000 people, I think. So yeah, it's a really small number. That's part of the issue. And I think what's, I keep saying that this is basically political incompetence more than anything else, in my opinion, because they latched on to a couple of very high-profile donors that wanted a trophy park, and they decided that they needed to be more obedient to them, like a dog in obedience school, than to the voters. And they just, it's gross political incompetence.
I personally think, and only because I'm kind of involved right now in a gigantic Folsom Street construction project. Mm-hmm. But my best guess, if I were a city leader or were to give anybody really good advice, they should figure out just getting what is built in order, clean, and safe before you start continuing to reimagine. The reimagining movement is an absolute failure.
Exactly. Sorry to jump in, but yes, it is so agitating. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I guess the impact on the street at Folsom. My business, knock on wood, does fine when the weather's nice. Of course, it's impacted when the weather's shitty and there's construction. Like anybody else's business, it gets to be complicated to get over here. But the reality is that, under the circumstances, the amount of money a project like this must cost, it seems to me that maybe you repair all of the sewers and repair all the lights that need it and repave the street and then go do the next one. Right. Because the impact here is it's gigantic. And, the traffic patterns obviously have changed through time. South of Market, in the beginning of time, I had cars and I catered and I delivered food, but now it wouldn't even be possible. If I were to be able to find parking, just the inconsistencies of the traffic patterns, you could be stuck on Folsom at 7th for 5-10 minutes, it's pretty excessive. And I think that it's when I look at city projects, when I look at things that I've been involved in, I was involved. I was appointed to a community active. I don't know what they call it. It was the Soma Stabilization Fund, and I served on that fund for about 4 years. And I was appointed by Matt Haney, actually. And I was a party to their system, and I was a party to how they deliver money to borrowers and how people ask for grants. And it was truly eye-opening. But I've said it before. I really think that the entire system needs like a full stop, a pause. And there needs to be some really bold leadership that, reels these people in and say, look, you got to look at the sidewalks over there at 16th and Mission, Jackie.
Yeah.
Or, hey, 7th and Market at night again is absolutely bananas. I'll say it out loud. I liken the fentanyl rush to the gold rush. It literally, if you told people that they can get the cheapest Fetty on the planet, you give them freebies, you tell them they could have free food, free housing, free money, they're going to come for it. Yeah. And every summer, you start to see cars, you start to see people, new people, and then those people end up getting their cars towed. Then you see the same face on Market in 6. Now they're have no shoes. I mean, I've been down here for 15 years. I've seen the cycle. I know the people. I have documented a lot of the people. I have close relationships with the people. And I do want to be clear, when I talk about these people, my greatest concern of a Jessica or a Steven that I participate in helping, trying to save their lives, for fuck's sake. Like, what do you think I'm trying to do? Let me tell you something. Those people are so mentally ill that unless somebody physically stops them from what they're doing, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. People don't get it. They walk up to these people. Imagine Jessica. I'll use her as an example. Imagine Jessica, when you go to visit her, let me see who's here. If I said, Gina, come see my friend Jess, and I said, come see her. We got to go talk to her. She's in a bad way. I need a little advice, et cetera, et cetera. We're in her home. Being outside, when they're outside, they're home. These people don't just imagine how hard it would be for you to go outside right now, close your door, and live outside for the next 5 days.
Exactly.
Ask Tom Wolfe. I mean, seriously, like, this is not normal behavior here. These are people that have adjusted to animalistic behaviors. They use the restroom anywhere that they have to. They're on illicit drugs that are so powerful that they force people to bend over in a state of a statue. You're a statue. The fentanyl fold. How in the world is any of it acceptable? So when I do post about these people, or when I do speak about these people, they're so mentally ill. They're such drug addicts. They need to be forced into a jail, into a sobering facility, whatever it is. But I will tell you that they are home when they are outside. So when the Department of Health or whoever, hot team, goes out there and says, hey, I'm meeting you where you are. You want to go to a shelter? I mean, let me take you off your couch. And then I'll take you off your couch. And then instead of partying and watching television for the rest of the afternoon, you're going to go to jail. What the hell do you think these people want to do?
Exactly.
They need to be coaxed. They need to be sobered up. It's amazing. I went to this fentanyl awareness thing. I'm going to stop talking after this because I could talk for hours. I went to this fentanyl awareness thing, and you know what? I saw all those sober kids, right? You see all the sober kids, and ask them what they think. Go ask them. Kunal, Modi, Daniel, all of them, Mayor, all the supervisors. They should go down and talk to the sober kids. Ask them about their experiences. But the reality is, you see the look on their faces, and they get a bug of recovery, just like they get a bug of addiction, and they get a bug of recovery. These people are if you could become a fierce addict, you could be a fierce guy in recovery, is what I think. But you have to have the will, and they don't have the will. They have to be forced off of the sidewalks, and there's really no other way. There's absolutely no other way. And if anyone wants to debate me about it, I'd be happy to debate. I don't find any of the practice that they practice here. I see it as it's fully a medical blunder. I had somebody living on my doorstep for 8 years. So it's negligent.
Wow. So let me. I know you said you're going to stop talking, but I wanted to ask you what you thought of this article that appeared in the Standard this past week.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Where now people. So apparently there's a viral video going around of someone who sort of involuntarily Narcaned an addict who may or may not have been overdosing. And between this and buzz on the street, it's been turned by David Shostet, who I worked with at the Standard, and
I saw that. I
understand his POV and where he comes from, but at the same time, it seems awfully anecdotal to make a story out of. But what is your feeling on this whole thing of people supposedly
if it's even true?
Exactly. That's the reality is it true? But the other piece is that, I mean, look, these people are on the streets in public. A lot of worse things happen than them getting fentanyl sprayed up their nose. Seriously, I don't.
You mean Narcan?
I mean Narcan. I'm sorry.
So what? I mean, is this like, what is he talking about when he says that when they get sprayed with Narcan, they go into severe withdrawals? And I mean, it
sobers you up. And I mean, the thing is so my understanding of getting sprayed with Narcan. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. My understanding is that when you get sprayed, you get the 1 spray, 2 spray, how many ever sprays, it doesn't much matter. You literally wake up in a haze and you're completely sober. So if your leg was hurting before, your leg now, and the opioids eliminate that, right? So any type of pain, you're back in pain, right? But again, we're talking about people like Jessica who have like open wounds on their legs. I mean, so she's in pain, rightfully so. She has an open wound on her leg. So if somebody were to Narcan her and she was on drugs, it sobers the opioids. It just eliminates the activation of the opioids. But it's not like, I don't know if I would say that anyone has described it as the most awful experience. But I actually think, why not? It's a pretty decent tactic. How do you know they're not overdosing? How do you know?
I found the story, frankly, as someone who's been doing this sort of stuff, writing for a very long time, I found it to be a very ethically problematic story. Anytime a story includes things like what allegedly happened or what I heard happened or stories I'm hearing, this is what someone said that someone else told them that they saw, that's problematic. That's a blog post that shouldn't be in a publication / quote unquote online newspaper. It really, takes the standard down yet another notch in my book as far as and shows the inexperience of their publisher, who has never worked in journalism in his life. I don't know what, he has naked pictures of Michael Moritz. I don't know what, but Griff Gaffney does not know a damn thing about publishing. And that's why they've had, in my opinion, a number of ethical missteps, like shopping at the markets, at the stolen goods markets for Christmas and all that stuff. I found the story quite disturbing, and not in a good way. I found it disturbing in that I didn't believe. I mean, Adam, you'll be the first to say it. They're liars. I mean, the people on the streets, the homeless and the drug addicts, they're liars.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? They're absolutely liars. I mean, come on. I mean, we're talking about like, seriously, like people that are just like looking for a fix. And I think that people will come to understand that, like, despite my enablement of the people that I know, I figure they're going to find their drugs somewhere else. So, I make life easier. I give them food too. But I cannot understand. I really cannot understand how you get to a place where these are your trusted opinion makers here. And, Jenny Exotic, or Jenny Friedenbach, I call her Jenny Exotic, like Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, except she treats humans like tigers. So free Jenny. So Jenny Exotic, Jenny Exotic had one of her best and brightest living on my sidewalk across the street from Deli Board on Russ Street. The guy's name was Dave Kemp. And, I've met so many of these people, and the one thing, I mean, besides the fact that they're liars, they're mainly all drug addicts, like 99.9% drug addicts. So Dave Kemp told me, he's like, yeah, I smoke a little weed. He was kind of like, had like a deadhead vibe, and he was probably about 55 years old. And I mean, he kind of presented himself well enough that he could work with Jenny. So he did work with Jenny. He was one of those people suing for $10K. But what ended up happening is, he told me he didn't use drugs, but he ended up overdosing. What he did shoot up, and they smoked crystal meth. But he, you meet a guy, he's like, hey, I'm suing the Coalition of Homelessness for $10,000. They took my belongings. And then the guy's living outside my place for like, I don't know, 6 months, a year, whatever it was. He's chopping bikes. He's literally like, they're literally, I have photos of them smoking meth and chopping bikes. But he would come by and talk, and he'd be like, yeah, the case is still going. And, I'm like, the belongings one? He's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to get money. So this is the best and brightest. Now, the guy, okay, and look, I'm, again, hearing things. I'm going to tell you a thing I heard, because this is not a thing I know. This is something I had heard. So Dave Kemp had a very bad reputation on the streets, and Dave Kemp did some really awful things with boys from 6th Street, and someone found out, and they gave him a hot shot. And the fact is, it's just an extra killer. He's shot up. I think he used heroin, probably, would be my best guess. And he shot up fentanyl and overdosed. So the guy died on my sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera. But, again, these are the rumors that happen, and these are things that I've heard, but I would never publish that data, because there's absolutely no way I could prove that to be true, right?
So he died then?
Oh, yeah, he died.
So he's not going to get his money or his belongings back?
No,
but Jenny's going to get his money. Jenny's getting his money.
She probably already got it. I mean, that's the thing. I've met a lot of these people, and
the second reading on the vote at the board is actually happening this Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the first reading took place this past week, so it's a done deal.
It's a done deal, and every supervisor I've talked to has said that, frankly, they realize that she's blackmailing them, and that, it's just going to be easier to pay it rather than have this drag on for years. And they claim that, the big part of settling is that, now they can go ahead and do what they want to do. Then, of course, the ACLU claims victory, saying, oh, no, now the Coalition on Homeless got what they want, because now they have to, the city has to watch over the people and their belongings. I'm of the thought that, Daniel Lurie is way too soft as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he needs to channel his inner Matt Mahan and say, I won't tolerate crime. If you want help and he calls it what I call it. I think there should be no such thing as permanent supportive housing. It should be temporary supportive housing. Once you get on your feet, you get into in the San Jose interim site that I went to. They, get help. There was in fact someone coming from the city that was talking about job placement, and they may start in, sweeping streets and stuff, but. I met a guy who had worked his way up and now works for the city. He's like sober 5 years. He pays for his own rent. That's the kind of thing that they aspire to. But the thing that he won't tolerate is something I wasn't aware of until I met with him, is that the mental illness part is county. The city, I don't know, I mean, San Francisco is a city and a county, but in San Jose, they can't do anything with the mentally ill because that falls under the county, and they don't make it a priority. So Matt Mahan said to me that, I'm going to take it in my own hands. He said, I can't deal with this anymore, because I can't put these severely psychotic, mentally ill people into these housing spaces with people that are really trying to recover and get their lives back. It's not fair to them. It's disruptive. So I need beds, and I'm going to find them because the county won't. In the case of San Francisco, Daniel Lurie city and a county. So what the hell is he doing?
Well, I mean, I think, my piece on Lurie, I mean, the one thing that he's done for me, or someone within the organization has done, is move the human that was living on my stoop. So that, to me, they moved him. So Mr. Moore has housing. He does visit every now and again, but that's not a surprise. But he does have housing somewhere. So when he stays, it's just a temporary thing. Hopefully that remains to be the case. So in terms of my success there, I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I can tell you right now that Emily Cohn had nothing to do with it. I think that unfortunately Emily is outmatched by what has become in that both the Department of Public Health as well as the Housing Department. It's just fierce denial, and really, it's just I don't see, like, the Department of Public Health. To me, it may be, this is one of the bigger health calamities that ever was, right?
Oh, yeah.
The fentanyl. So again, you shoot back to Barbara Garcia, when Barbara Garcia got audited and fined and fired. Maybe at that point it would have been a good idea to audit that agency. Maybe that agency has some loose areas that need to be fixed up. And
they do.
I think you're right. I mean, so you have, like, all of these departments that really, when I talk to Emily Cohn, it's like they've trained these people to sound like politicians. It's systemic racism and the poverty and HIPAA. I can't discuss Mr. Moore's case with you because HIPAA.
Yes.
The guy's lived on my stoop for 7.5 years. I know everything about him.
So
what are you going to tell me that I don't know?
So Adam and Susan and Mike, all of us here, I think what the segue here is such a great one, which is we fixate on the Jenny Exotic, the worst of the worst in many ways, but we really need to also focus on the Department of Public Health. I believe that is by far the worst department that we have in the city, because it's contributing directly, literally directly. This is where the problem stems. It is no health. It is no help. It is pure grift. It is wildly expensive. It is enormous. And we tend to give them a free pass. It is an over and over, administration after administration. It is a free pass to have them do what they want to do. Can we please address that? Because this is something that's major. It's a $2.6 billion budget. Where's the health?
Well, I mean, I think that, the homelessness department and the Department of Public Health maybe has some of the same departments. And again, if you got job descriptions and job titles and you figure out who's who, you probably have some people that work in the homelessness HSH that work for DPH or vice versa, and they could probably be consolidated. So
I 100% agree.
Yep.
So they probably have kind of like the same thing going. But what would really be important in light of all the challenges here, what would be really important for all of those agencies, I mean, you really have to shift your focus, and the focus can no longer be about enabling people to smoke fentanyl on the street.
That's right.
And that's like a full stop, right? Like there's like and I know Lurie said that he's made a couple bold statements, and I will attribute that to he's not a politico. He's never worked in the industry. He's new to the field. And maybe he thought that he could say something that would be more effective than it really is. But it's not very effective. And the reality is that this is they have to completely lead with public health, and there needs to be like a dialed in emergency, and every agency needs to be on board. And if you're going to walk by people smoking fentanyl, then you no longer should have a job.
Yeah.
Right.
You should no longer have a job. I mean, I walk by 7th, 6th, 7th. I went to the flower market at the Civic Center today, and, I walked down 7th Street, and it's absolutely haunting to me. It's absolutely haunting what happened to that street. And, it's not recovering, and it's very, I feel bad for the hotels. I feel bad for the people who live around there. I feel bad for myself. I lived over there for years. But, walking around over there and you walk, what is the point of having people watching people smoke fentanyl? Like, what is the point of even having any guys doing anything? I would imagine, how come the idea behind a community service group like Urban Alchemy, how come the Urban Alchemy group isn't required to A, clean the streets, or B, do anything effective like say, hey, buddy, you can't smoke fentanyl right there? How come they can't do that? It seems like that's what they're paid for. I don't know. I feel like, again, we are in this new age of telephones, and they can't get their heads out of their telephones, and I get that. But their job is to service the community, right? You're getting paid to service the community. Wake up, ask people what they're doing. Why are you sleeping there? Why are you lying there with no shoes? Didn't they have like mental health teams for this? What happened to all like the mental health SF and all of the teams, people that were going to lead the charge on all of these, all of these issues? There's been so many different groups and so much different rhetoric and bullshit. But the reality is I'm a huge San Francisco Fire Department and San Francisco Police Department advocate, and I got to tell you what, those guys have done nothing but deal with the overdose crisis. Yes, there are now, obviously, we may have moved into a different direction where they're going to have to do some investigating and they're going to have to fight some crime here, right? There's a lot of shit happening. But what these guys have done, especially south of Market, all they did was reverse overdoses. That's it.
Yep.
For years. For absolutely...
Well, don't you know, Adam, this is the dignified approach. That's harm reduction. This is what we're calling it. This is dignity.
Well, I don't think it is, and I think that one thing that we've, again, that there's a guy right now. He's in jail. His name's Quinn Walker or Walker Quinn. I'm not quite sure, but the guy has literally attacked me and my business 3 times. Right, 3 times. So he's now in jail because he stomped on a Waymo. So we've seen the guy choke a dog in public. We've seen the guy attack me. We've seen him embarrass San Francisco jumping on an awning. He was on Frisco. This guy's a star on Frisco Live, 415, shout out. Right? He's an absolute star on that show. I mean, this guy is an absolute, he's not well, right? But he's in court on Thursday morning. He's been in jail for probably, 3 weeks, let's say. He's sober now. He's probably sober, unless he's smoking whatever they smoke in jail, which is called spice, and it's not very good for you. But if he's not using drugs, and let's just say he appears in front of the judge, that's the impression the judge is getting. They don't look at Frisco Live's tape. They don't ask a guy like me. The first time he attacked me, I got victim services from Chesu Boudin's group, which was absolutely the biggest circus that I'd ever encountered in my entire life. That guy, his office, quote unquote, was an absolute fucking disaster. And the actually trying to even get an answer out of those people was awful. And, the reality is let's be very clear. Like, if I told you that I wasn't afraid of potentially having that happen again, then I would tell you, then I would be lying. I mean, truthfully, it could happen if he's not in jail and he's on the streets. What's going to stop him from doing it for the 4th time? There's no consequences. He's paid no dues. But
that guy needs to go. I mean, that's one of the guys that needs to absolutely go. He needs to spend time in jail, if not prison. I mean, that was definitely vandalism over $5,000. I mean, he's got a long record. They could, pile up the charges, and then wherever he's from. Do you know where he's from? I know it's not San Francisco.
I don't know where he's from, actually, but
Frisco told me once, and again, I agree. Shout out to Frisco and JJ and
Frisco?
you. I mean, yeah, Frisco, 415. But yeah, I mean, you and you know, you're the OG, and we've, you know, and
oh my God,
JJ and Frisco Tenderloin activities now that are documenting the truth, which is a big problem for Daniel Lurie again, because you know he's up there with Shabuzi saying we're back, we're so back, baby, and then you know right under him people are posting your videos and JJ's videos and Tenderloin, you know, I mean,
I'm going to agree.
bad.
I'm going to agree with Erica. You know, I got to tell you what, I was so harassed by the Breed administration for so long. I was just absolutely harassed. I mean, and bullied, and man, I mean, they just never stopped. And so for me, it's like a weight lifted off my shoulders.
No, believe me, no, she was a terrible mayor, and her administration was awful.
But I will agree with Erica. I think it is. It's an appetizer, right? But the thing is, with he has 4 years, and I think that one thing that you know everybody can agree on here is that if you are trusting reporting agencies that have been reporting news to people like him, it has all been fake data. It's not real data. So at what point can he then convince all of the people around him that it was all bullshit? But I got to believe, I walked the streets with Kunal Modi, and, you know, the guy is a metrics genius.
Yeah.
He comes from he's a numbers junkie. But I'm going to tell you right now, when he walked through the streets, and this is new to him, this guy's got kids. I saw the look on his face. I'm a good people person. He was horrified. This shit's fucking crazy.
He gets it. I have to say, Kunal gets it. I have met with him, and he gets it.
You gotta have that support. And you know what? I gotta tell you what. I am absolutely, you know, the supervisors again. In the event that they don't figure out to create a way to be valuable locally, I really do firmly believe there has to be a change here. I think they add a wedge. I think they make it very difficult for Lurie to get anything done. I think he gets a lot of pushback. I think he gets a lot of hate out of those groups. And, you know, he's the mayor. He knows what he's in for. I know what I'm in for when I open my big trap, right? I know what I'm in for now. Now I don't care. They tried to cancel me for years, and now I told somebody I'm coming out of a hose. London Breed had me choked up. I can't even believe. Think about it. I was shadow banned at Twitter for a lot of years. Think about all that data and the important value if people actually saw that information. Think about how important that information was that they suppressed.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, you probably saw the article that we did with Gina, who's here listening. Shout out big time to Gina with the best. 2 years of her incredible hard work. How many people died in, you know, it's the first in a series, but how many people died in supportive housing? And just to make a comparison, you know, about 1,300 people died of COVID in San Francisco, and closer to 3,800 have died of overdoses on the streets, you know, in San Francisco, and a huge proportion of those inside supportive housing. So,
and another thing here, Susan, is really important to be clear about is the people who died of COVID very often were senior citizens, very old, very frail, you know, and a tragedy is a tragedy, but the people who are dying often of fentanyl poisoning, they're young. A lot of them are very, very young. It's a very different group of people. So that's so important to keep in mind too. We're losing a generation.
I said for many years, COVID no match for fentanyl. Nope. And you could look it up on Better Soma. Is one of my more important things that I've said over time, I think. But it's you know, that it's very scary. And again, I think that you need a full stop, and you need everybody to be on board.
Hillary Coonins has to go. That's a no-brainer. She's got to go. Yeah. Along with her minions.
Shout out to Gina again. I'm going to toot my own horn here. Gina and the moms threw together one of the most amazing events, the fentanyl awareness event that was a couple weeks ago. And it was just, the mayor was there, Dorsey was there. And then I think that's pretty much it from the local. Brooke Jenkins was there. Shout out, Brooke. But Gina just does a tremendous job. And recently I took a kind of a position over there. They call me over there the chairman of the board. So I am on the board of the Mothers Against Drugs and Drug Deaths as well. And right. I hope that one, as the community benefit district and Alex steam up here, I hope to move more of my action and activity into that group.
Good for you. That's a great group. And we're working very closely on more stories, sadly are incredibly shocking, but also incredibly important that people see these numbers and understand how long this has been allowed to go on. And, I do appreciate the fact that Daniel Lurie showed up at the mom's event. I appreciate that he gets it, that Jennifer Fraudenbach needs to be left out of the conversation. He's been doing that.
Exotic.
Yeah, he's been leaving her out and not, there's no calls being returned. And I think that's great. But there's others that need to be wiped out, and that's Gubbio Project needs to go. Jackie Fielder needs to stop going to so many, DSA conferences and walk her own district, which she has not done since she and the mayor were elected and did their little photo ops. I haven't seen her. Nobody I know sees her. Where the heck is she?
Yeah, I think that her sights are set too high, and I think that what her job is not getting done. It's not getting done. And if people want to stand up for themselves, I recommend a recall. And a guy like Engardio is a perfect example. If they're not able to represent the people's voice and they decide to make decisions that aren't for their people, which is their constituents and the people that live there, then they should be recalled. And you know what? The shuffle up and the moving people around. I mean, the mission is crazy. I really I have friends who own restaurants over there, and it's really look.
The politics are pretty incredible.
It's really hard over there. But I mean, again, I think my biggest beef at this point, it's visibly unsettling, right? You look around, it's visibly unsettling, and I think that is, if you're trying to attract people to eat food here, to come party, to open bars, and to spend money, right? Not free shows, but real shows, and have people spend money and travel here from other places, you have to have a greater concern on the public health issue, the garbage on the street, the litter. It's absolutely insane. Even with community benefit districts and different layers, it's still nearly impossible to keep sidewalks clean. I think, again, it's about management and leadership. And look, if I had a roster of all the people that work in the city, I'm sure I could figure out how to find work for them to do. I'm pretty efficient. I have a very small group. I like it that way. And I think you have to really dissect this shit. And unless there's really the will to dissect it, and if they're really afraid to find out what's inside, then really it's going to be status quo. And sure, the property values are going to go up, but look, the center of the city is in decay. It's in decay. There's no denying it. And the core, it's like the heart. And if the heart is wounded or the heart is ill, it creates a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I got a couple of fixed questions to ask you. You're currently one of your campaigns is for banning butane sales?
It looks like I'm actually going to move forward with a different campaign. I appreciate you bringing up the ban butane. Better Soma had a ban butane campaign for about 3 or 4 months here, and it's science and it's climate and science. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I can shed light on that, or just you could look up ban butane on Better Soma. But now I'm moving into a different direction, and I'm going to fight for the comeback of mugshots.
Yes.
That was the second thing I was going to ask you about, because you had just posted about that right before signing on.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yes, I did. I am done with the ban on butane. It didn't go anywhere. It's very clear. No one listened to me. So I'm going to go full force on the mugshot. What's that?
Us cigar smokers love our butane.
Well, don't always believe everything that you read. And also don't necessarily take everything that I say on there very seriously. It potentially could create problems.
Definitely the mugshots is, as you know, something I've advocated a long time. Again, San Jose produces a mugshot every time they arrest someone pretty much for anything. Consequently, they have 100% homicide solve rate. Perhaps connected, I don't know, but I can tell you that everybody from the guy that vandalized a Tesla to the guy that slit a woman's throat have been recognized through mugshots. And so they are worthy of putting up when you have a crime you're trying to solve. Charlie Kirk's murder an assassination was a good example. The father recognized him and eventually turned him in because his clergyman turned him in. But, there comes a certain point where you can't just keep saying the guy that slashed somebody on Muni was a man in a black hoodie.
Right. My best guess at this point, again, a lot of these things happened over time, and I think people maybe weren't paying close attention. And I don't know, I would imagine somebody like Jenny Friedenbach or like Mary Howe from the Homeless Youth Alliance over there. Maybe one of those people advocated for the police to eliminate mugshots. I mean, there was a reason why they did it. And I got to tell you, I really am like a chef, and I prefer to wash dishes than play politics. So for me, I really I don't know how all this shit happened, but it happened.
I can tell you, it was Bill Scott.
Well, who influenced Bill Scott? Because there had to have been someone.
The police commission.
Okay, so that was John Hamasaki.
Yep.
And the rest of those people. Well, there you have it. I mean, so John Hamasaki rolls in the same crowd as Jenny Friedenbach and Mary Howe. So they, those groups think that putting someone's face online could potentially ruin their life forever. And you know what? I mean, it's not accurate, because look at Tom Wolfe. Tom Wolfe is a perfect example. He posted his mugshot today. He looked absolutely horrible. But now look at what he's done. And the thing is that, people that recover and people that go through recovery and rebuild like me and go through constant recovery. I'm always recovering off something. And, you got to be proud of that. That's the thing. These people are proud. They'd be like, look at that. The one guy worked for me, JoJo. He got arrested. They published, San Francisco published his Tenderloin arrest, and his face was on there. And he was happy to look back at his mugshot and be like, holy shit, boss, I'm a success.
Yeah.
I'm out. I made it out of here. And the thing is and Tom would say the same. And anybody else that I know who has had some sort of issue or challenge, you can look back at that point in time and say, wow. I look back, I don't drink anymore, but I look back at some photos when I was really into heavy drinking, and I could just see it in my face. I know I was buzzed, and it was 9:00 in the morning. So a guy like me, I would say, I look at those photos and I'm like, wow, look at the progress that I've actually made. Look at all the things that I've done to make sure that I didn't have, a heart attack or an aneurysm because of my blood pressure, blah, 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 when I was 45. And now I'm going to be 52. So as you grow up and as things change, you appreciate that kind of stuff. I don't understand the rhetoric or any of the possible that they condone crime, they coddle criminals, It's really crazy. I mean, they're gonna be protesting at City Hall when Donald Trump sends his military goons down here, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It is. I mean, there's no way, and now I've changed my sort of, stance on the drug tourism. Now I'm just calling them drug criminals, because it is, in every other civilized city, it is a crime to do drugs in public. It's a crime to sell drugs in public. It's a crime to do drugs in public. And until they just, find a way to pick up every single person that's doing drugs in public or urinating in public or doing any of those things. I mean, again, San Jose, one of the things Matt Mahan talked about was, when they go to these encampments and, the first thing they do is they check for warrants. And if they have a warrant in another county, they send them back there. If they have, a warrant in San Jose, then they put them in jail. There is just, you've got to send a message that this is not going to be a welcoming place for you to do fentanyl. And that's why, you and I spend a fair amount of time both places. And I can tell you, you do not see people doing drugs in public in the Silicon Valley. You do not see it. And that is because it's not allowed.
And I mean, rules and consequences. There's things that I abide by. It's like, I don't know what time we wrap up, but my experience, I have a restaurant and I'm inspected by the Department of Public Health. If the Department of Public Health inspects my restaurant, I've been here like, I don't know, they come every half year for 15, 16 years. I mean, they don't do the same in my restaurant as they do on the sidewalks. They need to swab the streets or figure it out. I mean, it's a terrible health crisis. And again, I don't know what all the employees do, but it has nothing to do with housing. And as you can see, like, stuffing these people into these SROs is just terribly bad news. And, and I can't even understand how many people have gone and looked and still the conditions are not negligent. And I mean, anybody who walks into those buildings would tell you they're absolutely bananas. It's not even like, I mean, it's just like the sidewalk, only worse. It's crazy.
Let me ask you, what is your feeling on the drug-free sidewalks campaign?
Well, I totally appreciate it. They should march every week, right? I mean, everybody cleans up the area for them, and they move the drug addicts and the drug criminals. Thank you. I like that one. Move the drug criminals and they take the drug criminals and they stuff them elsewhere. And then people march and talk about how much they hate fentanyl. And then 2 days later, it looks the exact same it did the day before.
100%. I mean, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I appreciate it. But, I mean, they sound like good people.
I think, especially if you're looking at what Matt Dorsey's trying to do with legislation, and if he doesn't get the legislation he wants, he's threatened to go to the ballot. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I'm not an expert on all that ballot box stuff.
Explain, Mike, what you're talking about.
Well, basically, putting more affirmative ban against public drug use on the sidewalks and on the streets.
I'm all for it. I think look, it's not. My documentation started like 2015, 16. And literally, when they were shooting drugs on the street, it was crazy. There were needles everywhere. And then it shifted to fentanyl. And the thing is like, I understand none of the current practice. There's not one piece or part of it that I can actually say that I agree with. I disagree with every iota of it. There absolutely should not be people enabled to do more drugs, to steal more shit. I mean, the impact that this group has had on San Francisco and its economy, for all the money that it costs, and someone should do the math. I'm not a mathematician, but somebody should do the math. Think about the impact. All of these people just individually going to the hospital back and forth. You have to calculate the ambulance rides. You have to calculate the actual hospital stays. You have to calculate all the tax loss from all the people who have left because of Prop C. Think about all the money that left because of Jenny Friedenbach, and think about all the people struggling and suffering and the money being lost in their property values, et cetera, et cetera. Think about all of the math, how much impact that group has cost San Francisco. Now, if you come up with that total and give me all of that money, I will get every single one of those people off the street and sober. But you have to give me 90 days and lock them in a room.
That's right.
But, the amount of money that they've spent in waste and on foil and straws, are you joking me? I used to walk down the street when I lived, my last property was Langton, and someone just recently posted a photo or a video of this girl, and the guy was in the financial district, and he said, hey lady, don't smoke fentanyl there. And she was like, fuck you. And he was like, no, fuck you. And they're talking. I know that girl.
Yeah.
I know that girl. And you know what? She said the same thing to me when I took a photo of her. But the reality is she looked like she was cleaned up. So she must have got arrested like the usual. They must have cleaned her up for 6 months. And then the minute she got out of jail or wherever she was in, they march directly to Market and 6th Street. They bump into one of their friends and they're smoking fentanyl again.
Yeah.
The setup for these people to be successful is dismal.
Again, it is.
You cannot, I appreciate, shout out to Steve Adami and the group at Salvation Army. I appreciate what they're doing with the recovery stuff. It's absolutely incredible. It is absolutely incredible, and it's necessary. And you can look at their numbers, and you can look at the people. Look at the people's faces that I'll publish it on. I'll publish the sober kids' faces. But, I mean, I know these kids. They were, like, literally, a lot of them lying in their shit and piss on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And now they can stand up straight.
Yeah, that's a miracle in itself.
I mean, look at this kid, Corey. Look at Jackie's kid. The kid, he literally, I have photos of him. He was hunched over like the hunchback in Notre Dame. He's standing up straight. Sure, his back isn't perfect. And no, he's not perfect, but he's recovering.
Yeah.
He's recovering.
That was a great photo. That was great.
There's hope in his eyes. These kids are participating. The amount of people at these recovery events continues to grow year from year. And those are kids in recovery.
For the ones that won't recover or who don't want to recover, for those that every time JJ asks them, if I told you I could get you a treatment bed today, what would you say? And they say, nah. Those are the ones that are going to have to be forced into a reality that we're not just going to pay for you to do drugs. There has to be some self-responsibility here.
Well, I mean, again, I'm over at Victoria Manilos Park right now. That's where I've done the call, and I'm at the entrance, and there's a couple kids sitting on the sidewalk on Columbia smoking whatever they're smoking, and I'm not really bothered by them or paying too much attention to them. But the reality is that, of course they can do it. No one's gonna stop them. So if there was a consequence for doing it, if someone had an actual consequence, then maybe they would think twice. But the reality is that they can get away with it, and they continue to be able to steal, and there's still places to steal, and there's Walgreens and CVS and all Safeways, and I mean there's still plenty of places to steal from. So as long as there's money flowing, these people are going to sit on the sidewalks and smoke fentanyl.
Not the San Francisco Center. I just went to Valley Fair for, some research, and I got there 9:30 in the morning. I went to Italy, which is 4 floors, something San Francisco could have had, but they chose San Jose. A good thing, because the San Francisco mall is closed, all but closed. And at 9:30 in the morning, it was pretty crowded. And then, by lunch, it was just, blowing up with Silicon Valley people having business meetings in the restaurants, moms pushing strollers, a group of elders that do their morning, everyday mall walk around the whole mall. Macy's was booming, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Tiffany, you name the store, and you know what? I didn't see a single homeless person, not one.
Well, of course. I mean, that's look. I mean, people want safe. People want comfortable. They want to be safe. And again, I mean, the flow of the tourism or the fentanyl tourists. is if it continues to maintain and status quo, what eventually is, I mean, the tourists will never really come back. I mean, again, what it is it's visibly unappealing, and you can see it pretty much anywhere now. So I think that, again, if you talk to most human beings that are walking down the street and they see somebody, I mean, these days, like, people just walk by everybody, but if you're not from here and you see somebody folded over, I can't imagine that that's the best sight that you want to see. And really, it's just too abundant in the core of the city. It is just too abundant. It needs to be curbed. And again, if it's somebody, JJ goes to talk to these people, that's not, again, you got to get this guy off drugs for 14, 15 days. If he's off drugs, he may tell you, hey, you know what? I'm tired of getting robbed. I'm tired of sleeping on concrete. I'm tired. I mean, you have to catch these. I personally think you have to catch these people on the front end of it. I think that's a big part of it. So instead of getting gobbled up by Jenny Exotic and Mary Howe and becoming a pony for them or a tiger for them, what has to happen is the city needs to intervene when they see somebody in a car. And what are you doing in the car? And then track those people. One time, about 10 decades ago, Jeff Kaczynski was at the time in charge of the homeless, whatever, HSH, and we had met, and I discussed this exact same thing, and that you have to find a way to track human beings, and if you could track the human beings, then you could have more success on the in the short run, in the long run, and all the runs. But Jeff told me that they were coming up with this thing called the One System, and the One System was going to be the answer to it all. It was going to be, it would talk to the police, the Department of Public Health, the Department of Public Works. Everybody would have the same tap in. So if I bump into, Stephen Nickel, my buddy Stephen with the great abs, if I bump into him, I know that he's now overdosed for the last 14 days, 3 times. So now he's overdosing for the 4th time in 14 days. He's going to the hospital for the 4th time in 14 days. Now this happened.
Yeah.
So at some point, Jeff's idea or the One System never happened.
And actually, guess who was instrumental in funding that and also bragging it was going to change everything? Tipping Point.
Who's
Tipping
that?
Point helped. Daniel Lurie's nonprofit was involved in the one. So you'd think now that he's mayor, he could fix it and get it to actually work.
He's probably pissed off. Look, again, I mean, like everybody else, I really think that, as this starts to continue to expose itself, I mean, we are in a different place. A decade ago, 5 years ago, I mean, again, I kind of pulled this one from the good old Chesa Boudin, Little Weather Underground guy. It's a movement. It's a movement, right? It's a movement.
Yeah.
And the movement is moving in a completely different direction, in the direction of sanity, logic, and humane choices. Now, I will never forget how inhumane all these people are. I'll talk about it for the rest of my life. I really, and that's fine. I'll volunteer. I will go tell people that you do not want to elect this person any longer because they are wait till these people run for office again. Wait till these people, they have no idea. I'm not running for mayor ever. I ran for mayor. I got investigated by the SF Ethics Commission.
What?
That's correct. I got turned the year I ran for mayor. I could send it to Susan. I ran for mayor and I put out a GoFundMe. And the GoFundMe, this kid named David, he's a great guy, great neighborhood guy. He literally did a GoFundMe. The GoFundMe cost $1,500. I guarantee somebody on this phone call donated maybe $100 to my mayoral campaign. Now, I did not file the right document. I had piles of paperwork. After I returned the money, to people because I didn't run for office, but I actually signed up for running for mayor at the actual elections office. So I had to follow ethics rules, and someone turned me in. I broke a rule, and they investigated me. A whole investigation. I had to.
Oh my God.
I had to get them every document from GoFundMe. I know who did it. That's the thing. These people don't understand. I know who turned me in. I know who the rats were. I know who had the ability to silence the media so they didn't cover my food.
Oh my God.
So
I kept the two separate for a very distinct reason.
Well, I'm sure Darcy, I now live in Portland. Bell was one of them.
You name the cuckoo, they sent a threat, or they sent a note, or they sent a complaint. I get complaints. I've gotten more complaints. I would imagine that when the city gets complaints on me now, like from the health department or from like the sidewalk people, they're probably like, we got another complaint on this guy. We can't keep going out there because he doesn't really do much but try.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would hope so.
They're fucking morons. They're literal morons.
So I have a question for you, Adam, is that you sort of alluded to that things are changing in terms of the way we see things. What do you attribute that to? I mean, like I went to that meeting at Nanny's with two harm reduction experts from UCSF, and the title was, "Hey, we're being demonized." I've never seen that before, where they know that their backs are to the wall. They know they can feel the public's ire. Is that what?
Oh, they say it. I mean, they do say that, by the way, Eric, in the secret recording article that I posted in the comments. They say that they know that they're under attack. They feel it. They know.
I mean, it's not even under attack. It's buffoonery, right? I mean, it's a practice that has failed. The metrics are the dead bodies. It is not a productive practice. Any medical doctor, Hillary Coonan should lose her job. They should
100%.
bring Grant Colfax back to face trial.
Yeah.
Bring Grant back. Bring Grant Colfax back and make him stand trial for lying.
100%.
The fact these people need to be held accountable. And if they think that good people like me that were smeared by their people will just sit down now that it's changing, now I can do whatever I feel like.
Yep.
Now I'm not walking down the street afraid.
Yeah.
No way, man. No way. These people, they you know, I think what the one thing that they always underestimate is they underestimate people's ability to remember. And they really, really think people are dumb. They really think people are dumb. So, like, I'm sorry to bag on Haney again, but I mean, the guy wants people not to understand algebra, but he also wants people to decriminalize everything. I mean, the reality is we don't have people that are representing our best interest here. That's not representing our best interest. Representing our best interest would be anything safety inclusive. At this point, if anybody ran on just the pillar of safety, they win an election.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Scott Wiener, honestly, is the worst in that he sat with the other two, Wahab and Skinner, on the Sacramento. You know, the Mike. What's it called? The public safety, the committee that they had, the public safety committee, and either did took no vote, which is a cowardly way of saying that, you don't want it to be, or, voted consistently for anything that would make things easier on criminals. And that's, I've written a lot about some of the things that they have voted for. And it's, again, just trying to make things easier for criminals. I mean, they just tried to undermine Prop 36 and got caught. I mean, it's insane.
They rewind, unwind. The governor, from my understanding, hasn't even given any money to that Prop 36.
Nope.
So, I mean, again, these people aren't, and I say it online as like a joke. They're not serious. But look, I mean, I'm not a highly intelligent person, but I will tell you,
I disagree.
Well, I will tell you that the feel, the vibe, what people want is safety. They want to walk down the street. They don't want to be harassed. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be worried about someone behind them is going to potentially take their wallet or stab them. And the reality is that there needs to be attention these little things that really do make a difference. And I think that that's one thing. Look, Lurie at this point is doing anything and everything in his power to get out there to meet people. I appreciate him going to the small businesses. I appreciate him going to my neighbors on Folsom Street that are like literally struggling because they can't get people inside there, right? So I appreciate all of that stuff. And I do think that, again, when we talk about what their duty or what their jobs are entitled to do, I think that is part of it. But what in the next phase of San Francisco, as people do come back, right? Because there is more traffic, and absolutely there's more traffic. There's more people working south of Market. There's more people Financial District, and no, it will never be what it was in February of 2020 when it all shut down. It will take years for that to rebuild, right? So you have years and years of rebuilding, but at least I think they're coming to the point in time where they may have said, look, we've hit the pit. Now we got to figure this shit out. So unfortunately, the mayor is now probably finding out that everything and anything that anyone ever told him was bullshit, and that the homeless problem is a drug problem, and there's no need for housing. And we have to then figure out how to keep people who are taxpayers active and happy at the same time as bringing back the city. And I do think that there needs to be some major thought in terms of recruiting businesses to come back here. The food world, I mean, I'm a study on the food world, and the trajectory of restaurants that are opening now is absolutely dismal compared to what was going on in 2017, 2018, 2019. Now, it is neighborhood specific because I live over in the Marina District, which shout out to the Marina Times. We appreciate your publication dropped at my door. The nicest delivery people ever. They'll be like, why was this guy so nice to me? And just tell him it was that dickhead from Better Soma. But they drop it off to me, and it's like it's polar opposite over there. It's polar opposite.
I've seen a lot of mentally ill people more than ever. The last time I was a few weeks ago, I was on Chestnut Street. I actually met with Steve and Cheryl and got there at 8:30 in the morning at the coffee roastery, and saw so many clearly mentally ill people. And I actually think there's been an increase in that in both North Beach and in the Marina.
I've only been there for 10 months, but I will tell you that the activity is there. There is activity there.
Oh yeah, there is, for sure.
And I've actually met two people over there who are homeless, both who are non-drug users, which was kind of shocking. The first two people, so that makes the very small 0.00001% that I know of homeless people that don't use. But you know what? It's I hope they don't blame Steve Adami in the building for the activity over there.
I mean, but it's already there.
You know what? I think, it's there.
It's been there since COVID. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, no, just like anywhere else, those people, the people that are over there that are on the sidewalks, they're mentally ill. And a lot, bless you. And a lot of them have dogs. And, the thing is
how I feel about that.
Well, that's, of course, I got to know those guys. I give them dog food. I mean, I know them, and that's the thing. Again, they're mentally ill drug addicts, and they need a different service that doesn't exist.
And of course, my editor's husband was bashed in the head by a notorious Xavier Blue Wright, a notorious violent, mentally ill man who had been arrested for things like kidnapping because he held some young schoolgirls in a doorway and wouldn't let them go. He walked into a person's house and threatened them. He's trespassed. He does drugs. He's been, burglary, you name it. And, he was bashed in the head randomly at 11 o'clock by the Palace of Fine Arts on a Saturday morning. So you never can,
I'm really crazy.
You can't ever turn your back. You just can't.
Right. You have to constantly be aware. And that's why I tell people, my employees, I'll tell you people as well, put your cell phones in your pocket when you're walking on the street. Yeah. Pay attention to your surroundings. That's very important wherever you are. And, I know it's very hard to do, but It's important when you're walking down the street for 9,000 reasons to pay attention. Yeah, I appreciate you all having me on and getting to tell a little bit of my story. And anybody can find all sorts of information on me on the internet. I built quite a following of hate.
Go get a sandwich.
Or come get a sandwich, yes.
I think that we need sandwiches named after everybody on The Voice. Erica got a sandwich. It's time for us to all get sandwiches.
We'll work on it.
Thank you.
We'll work on it.
I just admire you so much. I'm so glad to have known you all of these years.
Yeah, same.
I kind of feel like it's better Soma rising now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Phoenix. Like the Phoenix.
Like the Phoenix, burning bird.
Like the shadow band. You've got a new.
They stole my Phoenix. They stole my Phoenix. That was my my mayoral campaign posters from 2000 and whatever the last time was.
Yeah.
Was a Phoenix. They stole my Phoenix.
Wow. Well, you're not exactly muzzled anymore, and I definitely feel that you have a much more energy than you had over these past few years, and it's really lovely to see. So, rock on.
Yeah.
Recovery from Soma is a real special thing, just like recovery from anything else. It's important for people to be able to separate themselves a little bit, and it took me a long time to choose to do it. And my dog
I was just going to say, Sweetie had something to do with that.
Oh, absolutely. My baby, like me and Steve Adami, shout out Steve again. Me and Steve are always talking about who rescued who, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, it was the greatest rescue of my life. And I immediately found a place to live and got out of South of Market and balancing my work life with my own personal was a wise decision. And under the circumstances with tremendous construction down here, the timing was pretty good for my puppy to enjoy the sidewalks of the Marina District. So if you see me in the Marina District with a beautiful golden dog, say, "What's up, dude?"
She is such a pretty girl. And again, like, we all have, Steve and I have the pit bull love in common. But all of us, the sad thing is we've all had dogs that came from, in one way or another, from the drug, the problem with the drugs. I mean, our dog Quinn came from a litter of puppies that, was in a drug house on Market Street. Skylar came from a kid in Golden Gate Park. Sweetie, you rescued from people passed out in a car. For me, the dog thing is a long-term campaign. Yes, agreed.
I am not going very far on that. I just, right now, I'm really focused on mugshots.
Well, I've been advocating for that forever, as you know, and as a journalist, it really hit me when I did the story on Ed French, and I had to basically fight to get the mugshots of the two people that murdered him on video. So they were already on video having murdered him, and to get the mugshots was like a ridiculous jump through hoops. That shouldn't, particularly for a journalist, there should be no problem for me when I ask for a mugshot, and yet even journalists can't get them.
Exactly. Wild. Well, let's hope for a better conversation next time with some real steps in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for having me, guys. I got to roll.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it. We will be back in 2 weeks. We'll announce a guest later this week. Thanks very much and have a great Sunday.
Bye.